Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking a little bit of Ninja. I'm going to kind of show you some fun things I've just been thinking about, in the downtime, and ways that I would love to see Combo Ninja go. And just kind of talk about some cards that I made up. And we'll also talk about Kelvin Law's card that he had for the Celebrational if he would have won it, and just kind of go from there. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoy your stay. If you're a long-staying supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Discord down below, the channel membership, as well as the creator worksheet. We'll get right into it. So when I originally thought of this video idea, it was going to be how do we make Katsu good again, right? Like, and what do we need to do? And, I really sat down and thought about, like, what cards would I want to see in Katsu? And the hard part about Katsu right now is, and I'll just go on this little tangent before we talk about some fun cards that I made up, is, like, Katsu would have to be so insanely overtuned in order to be good, or the power level of the game would just have to drop pretty drastically. Because Katsu is a on-hit dependent aggro deck, it has to get on hits, like the initial on hit to even do anything. That's what makes it a little bit difficult. It can't get overrate until it hits, and it can't do the thing until it hits. Whereas other decks like Aurora, Zen, even Phi, Syndra, they don't necessarily have to hit to do something powerful. They can just kind of play a setup hand, whereas Katsu kind of has to naturally draw and everything. So in order to make Katsu like top of the meta good, or like in the conversation for top of the meta, you would have to overtune his kit so insanely just because of the natural design of the hero. The other thing is, like, Bonds of Ancestry. I would love to see Bonds of Ancestry unbanned at red, honestly, just to make Katsu playable at armory level. Like, that's a selfish one. But even that, in my opinion, would not make Katsu like top of the meta. It would just make Katsu playable, in my opinion, at least in this current meta. It would. But all I have to say, so that was the original reason of the video. And then I was like, you know what, let's think of like fun, cool things that they could add to Combo Ninja that I would enjoy, because right now the reason I love Katsu so much is because of the finesse of the hero, because of the elegance of having to trick your opponent and having to, constantly keep them on their toes with different play lines and like fake them out and all this other stuff. And then also be very flexible with your lines. Like that's the draw of the hero. So like, what cards could we make, to enable that? So we'll kind of talk about it here after that little short rant. First off, I wanted to shout out Kelvin Law. Kelvin Law had this card. So the Celebrational last year or the year before at this point, where everyone was invited out to the LSS offices and had that big tournament. The one constructed tournament was, if you won it, you got to submit a card to be made. And obviously it would get changed a little bit. Now, Brody Spurlock ended up winning that, and then the card Spur Locked ended up coming out. But this was Kelvin Law's card, and I just wanted to shout this out because this is a really sick card called Thoughtful Gust Wave, a 0-for-3 combo card, no go again, 2 block. I think this should be a 3 block, honestly, but I understand why not because of the on hit if it's comboed. But if a card with wind in its name was the last attack this combat chain, this gets +1 go again, and when it hits a hero, destroy all cards in the arsenal. I'm pretty sure this is correct in what Kelvin was wanting to have. But this card's like really good. 0-for-4 go again, on hit, destroy cards in their arsenal. But it's not super broken, right? It's like a mini CNC. This kind of actually goes with the new Ira card that's being made. Funny enough, actually, this is the Ira card that is made, except it's a 2-for-6. So maybe they actually took Kelvin's idea and just put it in the Ira deck. I actually did not think of that until just now. They actually probably did just take Kelvin's card and use it in a different way, which is awesome. But this is one cool way to make combo a little bit more, consistent and enjoyable, is have more on-hit effects. Everybody is so, I think, scarred by Zen because of how good Zen was. But combo takes a lot of work to get stuff off. And if they can just not print broken heroes, unconditional, like, go get Demonic Tutor out of your deck again, which I don't think they will, then, you could really make combo. Even in Ira, we're going to see it, right? Ira's going to have some type of combo element now because of, the card that was spoiled. So this was Kelvin's card. I really didn't think of the epiphany of the fact that they basically used Kelvin's card in a 2-for-6 which is awesome. And it's a 3-block. They actually made it even better. But yeah, this was Kelvin's card. But for me, I was trying to think again, how can we make combo elegant and flexible but not broken? And this is what I came up with. I don't know if it's the best thing in the world, but it's what I came up with. This is a headpiece. It does not block. It does have a block value, though, very similar to Mask of the Three Tails or whatever it's called in the Ira kit, which is where I got this screenshot from initially. Your hero begins the game in central stance. So in Japanese culture or in Japanese swordsmanship, from my reading and background, and if I'm anyone that's more versed in it, please feel free to correct me. But there's 5 traditional stances in Japanese swordsmanship, and I took the English translations for some of them for this. But for the Art of the Hand, I took this from the lore. In the lore of Flesh and Blood, if I have this up, the Art of the Hand is a study of basic combat. While students of the hand may go into the Art of the Sparrow or Art of the Serpent, many choose to continue studying the Art of the Hand, which contains a wide variety of martial arts and combat techniques. So I use that from the lore in order to facilitate this. And then you could also change the names of these, obviously. I just thought of names. But your hero begins the game in central stance. And in central stance, in Japanese swordsmanship, I'll just read the very end of it. This stance embodies the principle of adaptability, allowing for quick transitions between offensive and defensive movement. So it makes sense to start in central stance because you're looking to switch, right? Whenever a card with combo you control hits, you may change your stance. There's going to be 3 stances. The first stance is going to be the elevated stance. So elevated stance is an emphasis on decisive action and psychological aspects of combat. You also could use this as a defensive-like stance. So when you defend with a card with combo, it gains +2, so it gets a flick-flack-like effect. When you are dealt damage, return to central stance. So if you get hit once, it goes away. Or not even get hit, but when you're dealt damage. So this would have some... I said dealt damage instead of hits because I wanted this to have a little bit of... counterplay with like rune chants and with other ways to deal in damage with wizard. You can't just say like everything gets plus block just because you have to be able to defend yourself from all forms. But when you're dealt damage, return to central stance. But while you're in this stance, you get +2 defense. You get flick flack like effects on everything. So if you flick flack for 4 and then you blocked with a combo card and you were in elevated stance, it will block for 7, which is super broken. But if you get hit in any way, shape, or form, then it goes back. And only cards with combo get the buff, not just all cards. So that was one. Again, if you get dealt damage, you return to central stance, and then while you're in central stance, you now have to hit with a card with combo in order to switch again. Concealed stance. So concealed stance, again, I'm just taking this from one of the websites that I was reading, is teachings on strategic use of misdirection in the element of surprise in combat. So when you play an attack reaction on a card with combo, it costs 1 less to play. When you play an attack reaction, return to central stance. So this would allow you to play Razor Reflex for free on like a Whelming Gust Wave, which is like the most obvious inclusion. But if this were to come out in like a set, I would release like 1 or 2 more good attack reactions that are ninja. But this also could work on cards like Short and Sharp or wherever. Any 1-cost attack reaction that you want to use in order to have some fun with it. So those are 2 ones. And again, when you play an attack reaction, return to central stance. And the cool thing about these is if you hit with multiple cards to combo, you just keep switching stances based off what you need. And then finally, and probably the most powerful one, is Octagonal Stance. Octagonal Stance aligns with focus on developing... this stance is geared heightened towards situation and is primarily offensive in nature. Cards with combo get +1 while attacking, so this is an Ancestral Harmony-like effect. At the beginning of your end phase, if a card with combo has hit this turn, return to central stance. So it only affects cards with combo, and then if a card with combo is hit, return to central stance, right? So it doesn't buff everything. It's not like, this crazy Anthem effect. It is basically Ancestral Harmony in a stance. But if you hit, then it goes away, right? I originally had this at the beginning of your phase, if a card with combo has not hit this turn, return to central stance, but that's kind of broken because if they block you out, then they have to deal with it again, right? So I just said if it hits, go back to central stance. These stances would be just like marked. They cannot change. They cannot move. They cannot be destroyed. That's why I use the Zen State token as a reference point. But again, I don't know if this would make better or worse or indifferent. Let me know what you think, how this would change Combo Ninja. I put it in the headpiece because it makes sense with Mask of Many Faces and Mask of, like, those kind of cards. Mask of Perdition. What's the last one that changes the name? But like, usually a headpiece for us is either a card draw mechanic or a way to go get a card, or it's a way to change names or be flexible, really. So I kind of wanted to go with that. But that's my initial thought. If it didn't go this route, like, do something with the stances. I think stances in swordsmanship and in Asian culture are pretty prominent. You see it in video games, you see it in readings, you see it in real life, right? Obviously. So I thought this would be kind of a cool adaptation for Ninja Combo. And it wouldn't break any of the classes in my... Like, I tried to think of something that wouldn't break all current ninjas, right? Because, again, originally this video was supposed to be like, how do you buff Katsu? But this, like, in Ira, this would be pretty cool, right? Because you could do a more combo-focused Ira, potentially, especially if she gets a couple of decent upgrades in the Armory deck. And then you have something like, okay, well, she's going to be super defensive now, and she can run all her combo cards. Now, this is where this actually might break Ira, because she has a ton of 1-for-5s, and all of a sudden they're 1-for-5s that block 5. But, again, dealt damage, I'm trying to change it. Maybe that wouldn't be broken, maybe it wouldn't. Anyway, I'm not a dev, but I just went over this stuff for fun. But let me know what your thoughts are. I thought this was kind of cool. Again, shout out to Kelvin Law on this. I just thought about the fact that they basically took the idea what Kelvin Law had and they made it into a different style of a card. Because if you think about Kelvin Law's card, like, I mean, if I open it up right now and just read it, if Edge of Autumn was the last card of, if Edge of Autumn or a card of Vengeance and the same as the last attack, this combat chain, this gets when it hits a hero, destroy all cards in the arsenal combo. So it doesn't get the +1 go again, but it's a 2-for-6, 3 block. So they took that concept and put it in Ira, which is really cool. So hopefully that's what they did. Hopefully they took Kelvin's idea and were like, you know what, it's a good card. We'll change it. But regardless, this was my thought. Just playing around, having some fun. I would love to hear your thoughts on it as well. If you like this type of content, if you want me to do more like experimental stuff like this, I enjoy like making fun cards and seeing where my brain can go. But if you didn't, that's totally fine too. Go to another creator down below on the creator sheet, like their stuff. Yeah, and I'll see y'all next time on TC Talk. Thank y'all so much.